Hello, this is Doug from Courtney Sports Cards. I'm doing a video on how to properly store your sports cards, and it will be two parts. The first part will be on bulk storage, the second part will be on single card storage. If you have any questions after you watch the video, feel free to leave questions and feedback and comments down there, and I'll get back to you on them. First, I want to start off with card sleeves. Card sleeves are very important for your cards, and when you can use them, you should use them, like on top loaders, preferably on 5,000 count boxes, 3,200 boxes. You should always card sleeve your cards. It keeps them from sticking, keeps them from scratching. And also on stuff with a high gloss, like Finest or Topps Chrome, Platinum, stuff like that. It keeps the fingerprints off them, which are really hard to get off once you get them on there. Okay. This is a 5,000 count box. It's about the biggest storage most people use. These are used to store mass amounts of cards. Usually people use these more for commons and stuff like that, in bulk. This here is the same thing. It's a 3,200 count box. It's also good for mass storage. Holds about 3,200 cards, depending on the thickness of the card. One reason people use these is it's a little bit lighter, a little bit easier to handle, and it'll more than likely fit on a shelf. If you have a certain area, it fits a little better. But those are the two mass storage items that are usually used for storing cards. Next, I've got a shoebox. This is a standard shoebox. You can use top loaders in it. They'll fit right inside. And usually you don't store commas as much in these. Putting bare cards in here or card slip, they sit way down in the box. It's kind of a waste of room unless you're using top loaders or something for better cards. Next is what they call a jumbo shoebox. It's the same thing as a regular shoebox, except you got 3 rows, a little bit bigger, store a little bit more cards. Pretty much it's just a preference of which size you like, or if it will fit where you want to store your cards at. Another thing when storing your cards, heat will sometimes melt cards, not actually melt them, but make them stick. One thing that's, like if you have purchased sets recently, older sets, like I know I had purchased a 2001 Topps factory set, and the cards came in and they were all stuck together. Basically this is because they were exposed to extreme heat, and obviously when you buy a factory set they don't card sleeve the cards, and so you know, if the factories had card sleeve the cards in the set, they wouldn't have stuck together. That's one reason I'm telling you to use card sleeves. That way your cards will not stick or ruin it that way. Next box I got is a shoebox also, but it's a little bit different. This shoebox here will hold top loaders if you want, but mainly this is a graded shoebox. It's a good fit for graded cards if you want to keep them in there. Another suggestion on graded cards is to get graded card sleeves and sleeve each one of these. The reason being, if you got a real expensive card, these tend to get scratched up if they're rubbing together. So you really don't want a $500 or $600 or $1,000 card that's been graded and you got a really good grade on, that's where the case is all scratched up. It'll make it a little bit harder to sell if it looks really tacky. Also, these boxes will hold the screw downs, the larger ones. You can stand them in here, they fit just fine. These won't fit in the regular shoebox, but they will fit in the graded shoeboxes. Next we have collector's albums. There's 2 different sizes. This one will hold 9 pockets in it, and this one here is a 4 pocket. You can use them when you're going to card shows if you just want to carry a small amount of cards and keep your cards protected that way. Another thing regarding sleeves that I'll mention is don't double up your cards in these. I know it saves a lot of room and stuff, but if you put 2 or 3 cards in a page and then later on say you sell a couple of them and you keep the one, if you tip it like that, the cards will fall out because these sheets will stretch. So basically you want to put 1 card in each slot. Otherwise you'll end up with cards all over the ground, and of course you know that's going to damage them and it defeats the whole purpose in the first place of spending money to get something to store them in. Now you also, one thing about these, if you use these you can't add pages into them. So basically they're just for toting around a small amount of cards, say to a card show or to school or wherever, or over to your friend's house. Next thing I'll talk about is set boxes. Basically, when these were first made, they were made for sets because back in the 80s, a lot of people made sets back then. It wasn't uncommon for somebody to have maybe 5 or 10 top sets from the same year. And they did these kind of, when they first made them, kind of by size of the sets. This one on the bottom is called a 800 box, and it will actually hold a top set from like 89 or 90, 91, because the sets used to be 792 cards. So these used to be very popular back then. Also, this was a 660 box. The reason they didn't make it 700 or 600 is because the Flair and the Don Russ sets when they first came out were 660 cards. So they made the box to the size of the set. That's a 500, that's a 400, that's a 300, and that's a 200. Basically these days, these are used for if you have a small amount of cards and you want to store them. Like if you only got that many cards, you get a box that size, boom, you can put it on a shelf in your closet or in a drawer or whatever. Okay, these boxes are hinged boxes. They have hinges on the end of them. They're different sizes. Basically, they're for carrying around cards. You can also put these in shoe boxes if you want. They'll fit in the shoe boxes. They'll lay inside of there. They make a 10 count, which you could also use if you have a really thick jersey card and you want something cheap to put it in. You can use something like this. That's a 25. Most commonly you see these for team sets these days. Team sets fit really good in those. It's 50 count, it's 100 count, that's a 150 count. Biggest problem with these is if you drop them, the little hinges will break on them. And then I see it all the time, people bringing in cards to sell me and they'll have these boxes and they'll have tape over them to hold the lid on. Better alternative to those boxes are these. They're called 2-piece boxes. Now these, they have a lid that fits over the box and it's a lot more sturdier material. They got the 10 count, they got the 100 count. These are 25 counts, they come 2 to a pack, good for team sets. 150 count, this is a larger storage, 250 count. If you're going to go with boxes, these are definitely a lot better than the hinged ones because they don't break as easy. The last thing I'll get into for bulk storage would be binders. You can get baseball, basketball, football, hockey, collector's albums if you got like gaming cards or something like that you want to put in them. Now the way these work is they're a D-ring. You open them up, stick as many sheets as you want in them. You buy the sheets individually. These will hold about 1,000 cards. Of course that all depends on the width of the card. but on a regular card you can get in about 1,000. These are very popular in the 80s for top sets because they held 900 cards. 900 cards fit pretty well right inside of here, and people would put their sets in binders if they wanted to look at them. That's basically the reason for a binder, is if you like to go through your cards, this way you got the binder, you can go through the sheets, they're protected. Also on the sheets, they make 9 pockets. They make single pockets. You can also get ones that will hold Beckett's. You can put them in here if you want. They make 4 pockets for oddball size stuff. They make a 6 pocket, a little bit taller, get in a longer card in there. And also they make 8 pockets. 8 pockets are for your cards from 52 to 56. Back when the cards were oversized, they'll fit really nice inside of here. Also, they make a 3 pocket, and they make some other size too with I think it's like a 16 or 18 pocket. It's just little squares, like you could put like baseball coins in them or something like that. They'd fit in there great. One more thing on binders. A lot of people will come in and they'll buy sheets from them and they go, oh, well, we got binders at home, and so we're not going to spend the money on a binder. One thing I will warn you about. On a binder, if you use like a school binder you take to school, this piece here, the middle piece is here on a school binder. The other difference is it's round. Now with this here and this round, when you close the binder, what it does is it shoves the sheets underneath the rings. These rings are a little bit more exaggerated on a binder also, on the school binders. What will happen is the sheets will tuck under here on the roundness of it, and when you close it, the lid will press against the sheets, and it will damage your cards. I see a lot of people that bring in cards for sale, and they'll have a typical 9 pocket. It's a perfect fit for damage. If you look, the ring hits here, the ring hits here, and the ring hits here. Now, what that'll do is it'll put a dent in the cards, maybe the first 10 or 15 sheets. So you'll have 10 or 15 cards, 3 on each page, so about 45 cards will usually have indentations on them from using O-rings. So I suggest you use D-rings if at all possible. And that'll be it for the first video. The second one will be more on how to protect your single cards, how to display them.